In December of 2024, Forbes.com named Elon Musk the richest man that ever lived, with a net worth surpassing $400 billion. They claim Musk is the first person in history to achieve such a feat, but we're here to tell you the truth. A story that has been known for centuries, but has never been taught. Welcome to The Power of Color. Today, we're about to explore the extraordinary life of Mansa Musa, a man whose wealth was so vast that it's been described as unimaginable. But his story isn't just about gold and riches. It's about leadership, vision, and an empire that spanned continents. We're going to delve into how the ruler of Mali, considered one of the wealthiest persons in history, earned his title and changed the world forever. Mansa Musa's story begins in the Mali Empire, which occupied a large part of West Africa in what we know today as Mali, Mauritania, and parts of neighboring countries. The Mali Empire was one of the most powerful empires in the world during its peak. But Mansa Musa wasn't just any ruler. His wealth didn't just come from possessing treasure. It was tied to the vast resources he controlled, the economic influence he wielded, and the strategic alliances he built. Imagine this, an empire so rich in gold that the sight of his treasures could send ripples of inflation across regions. His wealth wasn't just staggering, it had a profound effect on both the world's economy and its politics. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's take a step back to where Mansa Musa's life and legacy truly began. Mansa Musa was born around 1280 during the height of Mali's prosperity to the royal family. His father, Fagalaye, was a ruler of the Mali Empire, and his upbringing ensured that Mansa Musa would one day rise to power despite not being the direct heir. His brother Abu Bakr II was initially the king, but as we'll learn, Mansa Musa's path to the throne would not be so straightforward. Mansa Musa's education was broad and focused on both Islam and administration. As a child, he studied subjects such as law, history, military tactics, and governance. He also became deeply immersed in Islam, a religion that would influence every aspect of his reign. His early life in the royal court gave him a strong understanding of diplomacy, economics, and leadership, and he quickly earned the respect of his family and the people of Mali. But life wasn't just about scholarship. His kingdom was in the midst of political turbulence. In 1312, when Mansa Musa's father passed away, his brother Abu Bakr II initially succeeded him as ruler. However, Abu Bakr was more interested in exploration than in governing the empire, and under his leadership, the kingdom began to face great instability. He embarked on a failed expedition to explore the Western Ocean, reportedly even attempting to sail beyond the Atlantic. When he never returned, it left the empire without a clear ruler. This absence of leadership created a vacuum. As luck, or fate, would have it, Mansa Musa seized the moment. A fierce power struggle ensued, and Musa, already a respected figure, rallied a group of loyal supporters, soldiers and generals, to claim the throne. He staged a coup, and in doing so, dramatically altered the course of history. While overthrowing one's own brother might seem a harsh move, Mansa Musa did it with precision. His brother was sidelined not by brute force, but by political savvy and military strategy. Once he became emperor, Mansa Musa wasted no time asserting his power. He quickly consolidated his rule, making important changes to Mali's military, trade, and cultural systems. His leadership style combined military might with diplomacy, and he proved to be an extraordinarily effective ruler. Mansa Musa understood the economic engine of his empire, the gold mines. Mali controls some of the richest gold resources in the world, particularly in the regions of Bambouk, Bouré, and Ouagadougou. These gold deposits were the foundation of Mansa Musa's incredible wealth and influence. As the head of Mali, Musa established strong trade routes for gold and salt and forged alliances with neighboring kingdoms. The empire's wealth grew exponentially, and under his reign, Mali became a global powerhouse. But Mansa Musa wasn't just concerned with wealth. He also cared about the prosperity and well-being of his people. He imposed taxes on trade, created jobs, and developed agricultural systems that made the Mali Empire the envy of Africa. His empire was vast, stretching across West Africa, and its influence reached far and wide. Perhaps the most famous chapter in Mansa Musa's life was his pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324. For any devout Muslim, this journey was not just a religious obligation, it was an opportunity to demonstrate one's piety and devotion. However, Mansa Musa took this pilgrimage to a whole new level. When Musa embarked on his Hajj, the pilgrimage to the holy city of Mecca, he wasn't alone, not by a long shot. He traveled with an entourage estimated at 60,000 people, soldiers, servants, scholars, and even musicians and dancers. Picture this, thousands of people, many of them carrying goods, gold, and food, walking alongside 80 camels, each camel carrying hundreds of pounds of gold. It wasn't just a trip for religious fulfillment, it was an extravagant display of wealth and power. As he passed through various regions, especially Egypt, Mansa Musa distributed gold lavishly. It's said that he gave away so much gold in Cairo that the value of gold there plummeted for years. He caused what is now known as inflation. Prices skyrocketed, and the economy became chaotic. Even though he unintentionally destabilized the region for up to 12 years, Mansa Musa's generosity left an indelible mark on the world. He wasn't just throwing gold around for show, he built mosques, supported Islamic scholars, and funded major religious projects. Mansa Musa's pilgrimage wasn't just about his personal faith. It was about showcasing the might and wealth and ultimately what the Mali Empire had to offer. His journey, which stemmed from his faith, was also a strategic move. By meeting with rulers along the way and exchanging gifts, Mansa Musa established diplomatic ties with regions far and wide. These ties would later strengthen Mali's trade routes, helping solidify its status as a global leader. When we talk about Mansa Musa's wealth, we're not just talking about the gold he physically owned. Mansa Musa understood the power of cultural influence and education, and he used his wealth to develop these areas. He built mosques and madrasas, Islamic schools, most notably in Timbuktu, which he transformed into a thriving center of education and learning. Timbuktu became a hub for Islamic scholarship, attracting scholars from across the Muslim world. Musa also founded Sankore University, one of the most important universities in the world at the time. It was home to tens of thousands of manuscripts and attracted some of the brightest minds in Islamic scholarship. But there's more. Musa's influence didn't end with religion and education. His economic policies also set the stage for Mali's prosperity for centuries. He introduced banking practices, improved infrastructure, and even organized a postal system to help with communication throughout his vast empire. His reign had a lasting cultural impact that transcended generations. By the time he died in 1337, Mansa Musa had established a legacy that was larger than life. But his story didn't just end there. His successors, while not as powerful, continued his work in spreading Islamic culture, architecture, and education throughout Africa. Unfortunately, after Mansa Musa's death, the Mali Empire began to decline. It wasn't that the empire collapsed immediately, but over time, the loss of strong leadership and internal strife took its toll. The golden age of Mali slowly began to fade, and the empire fractured under the weight of internal conflicts, external invasions, and the shifting sands of power. Despite this, Mansa Musa's legacy continued to influence the region for centuries. His pilgrimage to Mecca, his support of learning, and his diplomatic genius ensured that his name was immortalized in history. Even though the Mali Empire eventually fell, it was never forgotten. Mansa Musa remains a symbol of African excellence, wealth, cultural heritage, and intellectual pursuit. Mansa Musa wasn't just about gold. Yes, his wealth made him legendary, but it's the way he used it that stands out. He wasn't merely a ruler, he was a visionary. He understood that true greatness lies not in the hoarding of riches, but in using one's resources for the betterment of society. He left behind a legacy that included education, trade, religious influence, and diplomacy. He transformed the Mali Empire into a global power, not through military might alone, but by leveraging his wealth to build something much bigger. His influence can still be felt today, as the life and story of Mansa Musa continues to captivate the mind of those who have heard it. Mansa Musa remains a timeless example of leadership, generosity, and cultural enrichment. His story isn't just a footnote in history. It's a reminder that great leaders shape the world in ways that resonate far beyond their lifetimes. Mansa Musa's journey, above all, is a tale of vision, one that still teaches us the importance of giving back and thinking on a grand scale. Thank you for sticking around until the end. If you found this video entertaining and educational, hit the subscribe button and check out our other content.